be able to field some of them here, but definitely afterwards, there's lots of opportunities to make sure you fully understand, because there's a lot more options that can be very specific to what your needs are, and it's a really good thing for us and for all of you in that regard. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Jones.
Thank you, Rob. Good afternoon. Okay, so what Rob mentioned, we want to go over some changes that we have. I have talked to some of you guys, and I know there's a lot of questions about this new change that we're going to do. So we're going to, like I said, answer a lot of questions. We're going to kind of take it step by step. But before we get into those changes, I wanted to remind everybody of some really awesome benefits that we have available to our current employees as well as to our retirees. So we are always looking for ways in the benefits department and at USI to help cut down the costs for all of our employees. So some of those things that we've done, I think everybody in the room is familiar with Care Here. So we do have 3 facilities. We have one here in Vance, one in Tuscaloosa, and one in Birmingham. And along with that, this year we've actually added physical therapy and also imaging. So the 2 up here, the Radiology Clinic and Image South, those are the 2 partners, the vendors that we're partnering with for our imaging. I know the Radiology Clinic is in Tuscaloosa, and Image South is in the Birmingham area. So those are able, you can go to do imaging, any type of imaging, MRIs, CAT scans, any x-rays, that's all done for free. So it's done through and partnered through Care Here. Same thing with physical therapy, we use Dreyer. So anytime you need physical therapy for anything like that, you can also receive those services for free. And again, that is our partnership with Care Here as well. October 1st, we will be introducing insulin. So for anybody that uses insulin, if you get that through Care Here, you can also get that as free as you do your other prescriptions within Care Here. And then another one is Teledoc. So we've mentioned this several times. We've had this for several years, but we still find that people don't really know what that is. So basically, it's really good too if you're traveling or you can't get in to see your doctor really quick and you need to do a phone call. They can do a phone call. They can do a FaceTime call. And then you can actually, they're available 24/7. You can actually talk to a doctor. I've personally used it with my kids, really good. So they'll, they have a common cold or the flu or something like that. You can call in. You can even take pictures if you have a rash or something like that. You can show them what's going on. They'll call in a prescription for you to your local pharmacy. So that means if your guys are on vacation and you're across country in California, they'll call it into the local pharmacy, the closest local pharmacy, and you can pick that prescription up. So really good benefit as well that's no cost to you guys. So those are just some reminders of some things that we do to try to help cut our costs and reduce our costs to our team members. So with that being said, this is kind of what our retiree plans look like now. They're growing. We've got approximately 115 retirees that are in our pre-65 group healthcare coverage and about 149 retirees that are in the post-65. So for pre-65, this is basically the coverage that you have if you are not yet Medicare eligible. And what we do every year with this coverage is we look at our actual last year's spend and inflation. We review that along with Mercer, and then we determine what changes we need to make to that plan. So this year's changes, basically we're looked at, the rates were developed based on recent claims experiences that were projected out that we used and partnered with Mercer on. And we'll go over what those rates are here in a second. For our post-65, this is our Medicare eligible group. So with this group, like Roth mentioned, Medicare is primary, and then MUSI insurance is secondary. So with this one, this is where we're going to have, you're going to see most of the change. So when we were looking at our plan, it was recently discovered that we were not administering this plan correctly. So what does that mean is that the premiums that that retirees should be paying should be based on the actual point value. So whether you have 65 points, 66, 67, all the way up to 78, your premium should be based on your point value. But what's happening is that currently all of the post-65 retirees are paying at the 78 point rate. Okay, so we found that in order to, when we were doing the research, in order to fix that, it could potentially have caused the premiums to really kind of skyrocket and go through the roof. So we partnered with Mercer, like, hey, we can't do this. We don't want to pass on that cost to our retirees, so how do we fix it? So Mercer helped us come up with a solution with the retiree exchange. And then with this change, we could actually control the premium cost, actually at a decreased cost, and then actually not really altering the plan coverage. You're going to see here in a second that there's several plans that you can choose and pick from. There's 2 plans out there. Mercer will cover that a little bit later in the presentation, but there's 2 plans that are very, very similar to our current high option plan. So real quick, before we get into that, let's talk about the pre-65. So these are the rates. I'm not going to go through all these numbers, but these are the rate increases, slight increases that will take effect January 1st, 2020. Everybody should either have already received something in the mail or it's going to be mailed out this week. It depends on where you live. So you should be getting this if you hadn't already gotten it in the next few days in the mail. So basically, it's based on years of service, and your age of when you retired, determining your points. Okay, so let's get into really the changes here. So we're going to look to the column to the left is our current plan for post-65. So this is just for everybody except post-65. And then we're going to compare it to what the new plan is going to be. So right now, like I mentioned, everybody's paying at the 78-point rate, okay, which that should not be. But everybody, the NDSI subsidy for that is $4,504 for everybody that's post-65. What it should be is, depending on where you are, it could be $2,118 if you have 65 points, all the way up to that $4,504 if you have 78 points. Currently, also, NDSI grant are all paying at 78 points. And also, you guys that are post-65, you always turn in your Medicare reimbursement. You send that in to us, to HR, we turn it into finance, and they cut the check back to reimburse you for your Medicare Part B. Okay? That's current. Also, there was no trend. Inflation was not accounted to into this factor, into our current plan. That's why I mentioned that the rates would actually increase quite significantly if we did not do this. So there was no trend or inflation that was set when the plan was designed. And then there's no current rollover for the subsidy with our current plan. So what our new plan looks like is the subsidy is going to change. So right now in this room, we're grandfathering everybody that has 78 points, no matter if you have 65 points or where you fall within that range, everybody's going to be grandfathered in at the 78 points. Okay? So that means that everybody in here will receive a subsidy of $4,500. Starting January 1st, 2020, if somebody retires and they have 65 points or 66, anything less than 78, then they will fall somewhere between $3,500 for a subsidy all the way up to either the $4,500, which is the 78 points, will fall somewhere within that range. But everybody in this room today, no worries, will be grandfathered in at the $4,500 subsidy. The NDSR retirees, we just mentioned that, they're going to be grandfathered in. Part B reimbursement, there's an asterisk by this. So what we're going to do now, instead of having everybody mail in their reimbursement paperwork and reimbursing that way, you'll actually pay, you can pay your Medicare Part B reimbursement through their subsidy amount. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Mercer's going to talk about an account that you're going to have called an HRA that you can use. It's kind of a bank account that you can actually use money from that subsidy to help cover this Medicare Part B reimbursement. So the company's still funding it. It's just going to how you go about it, getting it is a little bit different.
You send it in this year, I mean, like, you pay Medicare.
Start for last year?
Yeah, for last year.
That's a good question. Did we say for this year, are they going to go ahead and send it in like they normally do, or are they going to start it for Medicare Part B reimbursement? Did we determine that, Dawn? Just like last year for this year. So one more year, one more time around. Good question. And so this plan also takes into account trends. So what we're going to do is we'll look at it every year to see if we need to make an adjustment to that subsidy amount up there, the $3,500 to $4,500. We'll look at it every year to see if we need to increase that based on inflation and plan expenses. And then the last column is the excess rollover, which is $2,500. So we're going to allow everybody to roll over $2,500, up to $2,500 every year from the HRA plan. Again, Mercer will talk about this a little bit more, but this is going to allow, if you have a year with a lot of medical expenses, this is going to allow you to maybe build up some to be able to cover that so you don't have to come out of pocket. So the good thing with the subsidy is after you pay your premiums, you can use that subsidy to help pay things like deductibles, co-pays, co-insurance, and whatever you don't use, up to $2,500, you will be able to roll over to next year. And then the following year, since you're at 78 points, and also another $4,500 will be deposited into that account, along with whatever you roll over. If you don't have anything to roll over, that's fine. We'll still get the $4,500 subsidy every year. Okay? So some of the other things is, this is it's like a cafeteria plan. Basically, you can pick and choose which plan that basically best fits your needs. So you've got more options than you currently do. Right now with NDSI, you've got one option, but now you're going to have multiple options that you can kind of pick and choose. Like I said, there's 2 plans out there that very much resemble our high option plan. It also allows you to have a health care coverage for individual needs, and you're also going to have a coach. You're going to have somebody that's going to be able to talk to you 24/7 that'll help you decide which plan is best for you if you can't determine that. Or if you have any questions about your HRA, about receiving money back from Mercer, you can reach out to that coach 24/7. One thing I wanted to say is, and I've heard a lot of this through Facebook pages and some of the retirees I talk to, that doesn't mean that you can't continue to call us. We're still going to be here. You can talk to myself, Dawn, Rolf, Donna, anybody like that. You can still talk to us. We're still going to be here, but you can also have another backup plan too to talk to these coaches 24/7. All right, so kind of what does this look like? So this is just a visual chart to kind of show the current plan, kind of what the costs of the plan are versus what NDSI pays and the retiree. So you can kind of look over to the column to the right, and in almost all scenarios and all cases, it's actually going to save the retirees, you're going to save money by going to this Medicare exchange. I know it's changed, I know it's hard, I know it's going to be a little bit different, but actually it's a win-win situation. You're going to be actually able to save money. There is one option up here that you see that is in the red. That's for a retiree only. And a high utilizer means you're using your insurance quite a bit. You have a lot of medical expenses. That is really the only case, and that's an extreme case, but that's really the only case that we see where you may have to pay a little bit more than you're currently paying today. But Mercer will cover that in a little bit as well. But for most everybody, it's going to be a pretty significant savings for you guys. No, for everybody that's post 65, over 65.
So I'm 60, my husband is 67. These the only benefits he has. So how will they match together?
So it's going to be split. If you're under 65, you'll still stay on the pre-65, and your husband will go to this exchange.
So is that going to increase my rate for having a single instead of a family?
Shouldn't? No.
A single policy costs more than a family policy. So if I have a single under 65 and he has a single over 65, is that going to double my expense?
It'll still be considered family coverage.
It doesn't double.
It doesn't double.
Because your family rate is 2 times the same. So it's like single times 2, so it's not 1%. It's like your spouse is over 65, and they do the Medicare, and they are the ones that work to retire, as Kevin said, and the spouse is under 65.
It's still split.
Do we stay on the Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Yes, if you're under 65, you're still going to stay on the pre-65 Blue Cross Blue Shield. You still pay through the same way that you pay today.
Will the amount go down because of what me and him both were on?
It's just that it's still going to be family coverage. It's kind of the same question. It's still going to be the family. I'm sorry, what did you say? I can't hear you.
So he only, he's 65 now, so he would still be on that too?
He's 65.
Right.
It's just post-65, you'll go to the exchange. If you're pre-65, you stay on the Blue Cross Blue Shield.
But your premium is going to stay the same, just for me, on Blue Cross? But he won't be on that, he will be on whatever the
So I'm sorry, what did you say? Dawn was saying something. What? Right, Medicare is primary. This is going to be secondary. That does not change. That is correct.
The premium, though, what I'm saying is, the premium for Blue Cross Blue Shield was when me and him both was on it. But now, it's going to change to just be me on it because I'm under 65, and he has Medicare and has, will have,
The Medicare exchange.
We can't all hear the question.
So the question was the premium.
Repeat that for.
Yep, so the question was, is the premium going to change? Because if one's going to stay on pre-65 and then the spouse goes to post-65, is there going to be a change in premiums? That was the question. Dawn, do you want to answer that? So if the spouse stays on, is on post 65, but the retiree's on pre 65, they're gonna be, it's gonna be split. So how are the premiums, is there gonna be a change to premiums?
Your premium is only gonna change
I'll say it, hold on a second. Here you go, Dawn.
So with regards to your premium, currently if you are a retiree plus your spouse, you're paying 2 times the cost. So if you're splitting it up, whereas you're just single, you're only paying your premium, and your spouse, if your spouse is over 65, they're separate for him or her. So it's not double, you aren't paying more. Truthfully, with the Medicare exchange, you're coming out much better.
So when we know what the premium will be, just for the one person that's on the property.
Are you talking about pre-65 or pre?
That's right.
That's here. So everybody receive, you guys will receive your booklets, your packets in the mail, and it'll explain to you where you fall with regards to your points. If you are 65 points, 75 points, it'll tell you.
We're not playing anything like that, no.
I mean, it wasn't even for the right thing. I didn't work for the state, I worked for the power you were, but I got the same package.
When did you get your,
Don't really.
when did you get your packet? Well, we have benefit enrollment guides that are coming out this week. There's another packet coming out, and it is going to include all of your rates for every point, every level that you're at. So you will receive all of
Are
that.
you saying we should receive that in the mail this week?
Yes, it goes out this week, yes, sir.
Okay, we have if it's all right, we have a lot of information still to show, and I think a lot of these questions will be answered with the information. We'll open it up for questions afterwards, but I think that if we go through this way, it's gonna, I'm not sure there's enough time today. But honestly, I really appreciate the questions because, and I understand the sensitivity of this topic, but I think we got some really good stuff to show. Let's go through the rest of it, and then at the end, we'll have some time for questions. But then there's a lot of very specific individual questions for you on a one-to-one basis that we can also handle on a one-to-one mode in the back of the room or outside. Okay? All right. Thank you.
All right, so to finish up this piece, and I'm going to turn it over to Mercer. Basically, everybody, y'all's open enrollment will be October 1st through the 15th. So if you're on the pre-65, and if you don't want to make any changes, you don't have to go in and do anything. It's a passive enrollment. If you're post-65, though, you're going to have to go in and elect the changes and the plans that you want on the retiree exchange. Okay, very important. So there's a difference from that
I
standpoint.
was told this morning by a Mercer person that they won't have the policies out until the 15th. So how can I pre-enroll?
For pre-65. That was for pre-65. This is pre-65, okay?
I don't see that there. Hey, when you say that, if I don't make no changes and the price goes up, will they automatically just take that out of my account?
Yeah, you'll be billed, and you keep paying the same way that you're paying.
I'm saying whatever I'm paying now.
Whatever, you don't have to touch it.
I don't have to touch it.
No, sir.
Go.
All right, so with the pre-65, there's 3 you can choose from. It's retiree only, the surviving spouse, and then retiree plus family coverage. So that hasn't changed from that year. This is also not changed. You have, you can choose your medical, what we just talked about, which includes your vision and prescription, and then you have the option to whether you want to choose a dental plan or not. And then the company life insurance, still stays the same. Nothing has changed with that at all. You still have the $25,000 policy that decreases by 10% every 6 months until it levels out at $5,000. That's the same as it's always been, and there's no changes to that at all. So with that, I know there's a ton of questions. Mercer's going to take a deeper dive into the exchange, so I'm going to turn over to Mike. He was with us last year, very knowledgeable in the exchange, and he's got some partners here that are going to help him as well.
How you doing, guys? Thank you. So just for this year, how to enroll, again, this is pre-65, so if you're under age 65, you will enroll on the mercermarketplace.com. So that's a new link for this year, so just write that down, and that'll, of course, be in all your materials. And you can access that through your phone, you can access that through the computer, And again, if you need any help, right, the team that's supporting today, and someone just said they're calling, they'll be there to do that. So key messages here, right, you'll have the experience up front where you'll have the opportunity to get additional assistance in the tool itself. I think you guys are familiar with that now, but you can answer questions on how often you go to the doctor, things that will influence maybe some outcomes that you want to see. So you can choose to do that, or you can actually just go right in and see what's available from the bottom up. So tools the same, you know, the big difference here is just the link. You can model different cost scenarios. Question, yes?
This morning, nice of everybody, wish I had never in the park.
And that's what I'm saying.
You got that much link, it's gonna be on the material.
They wouldn't, what? Registered? No. That's, the question is, would you, that they could not register you before November 1st? And that's, no, you will have open enrollment start right on the date here. So, I'll work with you on that after your scenario to make sure we get all those questions addressed. Is that okay? Okay. So again, you can model different scenarios. You can get the best match for what, you know, the types of plans. Again, this is familiar for folks that are going in. Very little change this year. You know, the web is available 24/7, 365 to help you get through your enrollment. Again, by phone, same phone number. We have our counselors available to help you guys. Any questions that you have. We do the extended call hours. So we have Saturday hours as well. And you can call anytime between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. So anytime that you need to. I can tell you Mondays are typically busier. So just know that if you want to, you know, plan ahead. But any questions that you need, they can address for you. We have the online chat function, right? So if you don't want to call, you just want to quickly go back and forth with quick questions, that's also available. So I think hopefully you're familiar with this. And so I'm going to turn it over to Christian, walk you through the post 65.
Thank you. Quick intro. I'm an actuary with Mercer. My name is Christian Goodman. I got around to talk to many of you. I am from our exchange leadership team. Got around, and I can tell you I've done a lot of these meetings. I know that the retirees get a letter in the mail saying their insurance is changing, right? A lot of nervous, anxious anytime people tell me that my insurance is changing, especially projecting myself as a retiree, I'm anxious and nervous. I'm telling you guys, if you'll please keep an open mind, I think you're gonna see that this is gonna be a good thing for you guys. You're gonna be able to get into wonderful medical and drug plans, and Mercedes has given you the money you need to purchase these plans. A large majority of you in this audience are gonna come out ahead, better off than you were, and I'm actually really excited for all you folks here. My situation is I grew up in Michigan. My father's a retired iron worker. About 6 years ago, he called me frantically saying, you know, the company just sent me a letter. They're changing my insurance. They're giving me money. I got to buy insurance. I said, whoa, hold on. Slow down, Dad. You're going to be fine. Let's see what they got. So I started going over the plans with him. There's an F. There's a plan G. There's these supplements. He had just come down with Parkinson's. He couldn't play golf anymore. He was going down to Mayo Clinic. You know what? 6 years later, he's a lot better off than he was on a company plan. All of his medical plans, bills are covered. He pays very little when he goes to the drugstore. So again, you guys are going to be in great shape when this is over. We've got benefit counselors. I got Rich here that works with retirees all day long. That's what he does. He's enrolled hundreds of retirees just like you, people that have lost coverage from their company and had to find new coverage. We got a team that's trained and culture trained in what you guys have come from, so they know where you were, where you live, what you did, the medical plans you had, and you guys are going to be in really good shape. I know that there was a situation where we don't want to ask questions. I will take a couple questions. I'm going to cut them off if we don't get through there, but sorry. But if a question comes up and it's on a future slide, I'm going to slow down and I'm going to ask you to hold it till then. I did speak to a number of you, because I like to get a feel for the room, what kind of questions you have ahead of time. Had somebody come to me and say, hey, what about these doctors if they're not in network? My wife and I, we need to have separate consultations. That's ridiculous. And then, some talks of the Blues of Alabama. So I know the questions you guys are gonna have, we're gonna answer those throughout, but please, if I don't answer your question, please raise your hand and I'll try and take as many as I can. I had one real quick. Is there something? Okay. Let's talk about, so these couple slides are designed to for the folks that are eligible for Medicare. So if you are a Medicare eligible retiree, you're 65 and you're on the MDSUI plan today, these are the changes that are happening to you. And if you're going to be turning 65 in the next couple months, right, you could pay attention, because until you turn 65, you're gonna stay in your current plan, but then once you turn 65, you're gonna go to this arrangement. So you can prepare for the changes that are taking place if you're gonna be turning 65 in the next couple months. I've got the clicker. Okay, and I went the wrong way and pressed the wrong button. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay, I guess I won't get invited back if I press that button again. Okay, so what to expect again, this is if you're going to become Medicare eligible on or before February 1st, you are going to take part in this program. You're going to get some information in the mail like the rest of the folks, and this really addresses the people that are pre-65 now. In the next, before February 1st, you'll be turning 65. This will be what you can expect. I really like to get into the post-65, and we're finally there. Okay. So we're going to talk about the key changes. What are we going to talk about today? The key changes that are going to take place for you. So somebody had mentioned October 1st, right? Those are for the pre-65. We're looking at October 15th to December 7th. You need to do something, because on January 1st of next coming year, your plan coverage is going to terminate, and you're going to be moving to an individual plan. I'm sorry? If we can't make you an appointment?
You can't make an appointment, they can't do anything.
They would make an appointment for the to November 1st.
Right, so if you're pre-65, you'll continue doing what you're doing. If you're Medicare eligible, you'll make that appointment. You can make that when you walk out of here today.
Then you don't have to call
If you're pre-65, you continue to do what you did last year. Is that correct? Yep.
Except for your payments, if we go, do you get something on that?
Even your spouse, your employee.
I have to keep getting back down pre-65. I'm sorry, what was the question?
If you're pre-65 and you're not retired, you're not the person that working with them, you're fine.
Okay.
Now, so they will stay on.
They'll stay on the pre-65, correct? They'll stay on the process. If you're under age 65 and you're the spouse. The premium would be based on the rates there, so single coverage, married, it would apply to your scenario. So it would still be the same. Cool. Good question over here? Under 65? On disability? Okay. You would continue, that's correct. On Medicare, no, that wouldn't change.
But when you turn 65,
That's
then you would enroll with one of these programs.
Does the subsidizing go towards your medicine?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the first, if I'm you folks, what are the things you want to know today? Number one, how much am I getting? And has everybody received something in the mail if you're Medicare eligible? Anybody not? You received an announcement letter, a couple, handful. There's a number up here. I'd say if you don't get something, you could call that number and have them request it. They can email to you. They can mail it again. We want to make sure we got your address correct. But that information, yes. Is she close to being 65? Okay. And she got a Medicare package? Can you see us afterwards? Let's talk about that. Okay. Yeah.
I got one too, I got one as well.
Is both people separate for the 4,500?
You'll each get 4,500. You'll each get 4,500.
I mean, both people, my wife and myself?
Correct. So you get 9,000 out of a family. If you were, yeah, if you were under the Mercedes plan, covered by their Medicare coverage, you would each get 4,500. Okay. So number one, we're going to teach you how much these plans cost. Number two, we're going to tell you how much you're getting. That's the key. So we've covered this slide, but what you can expect on January 1st is your plan's going to end. You're going to need to enroll in a new plan. MBSUI is going to provide you with money, tax-free money that you can go out and purchase coverage. Now, in the past, this one size, you know, when Mercedes first came out with this plan for you folks, they came up with a one plan, one size fits all, right? And it can't possibly cover everybody's needs, the doctors, the drugs, the hospitals they go to. These individual plans are going to be tailor-made for you. They're going to cover the doctors you see, the drugs you take, and the hospitals you go to. People like Richard are going to work on a one-on-one basis telephonically to help enroll you in those plans. This is the new way of getting health care, right? We don't want people overinsured, we don't want them underinsured, and each plan is going to tailor fit your need. And just know that there are no pre-existing conditions. So no matter what shape you're in today, whether you're healthy, whether you see the doctor 3 times a day or 3 times a year, they aren't going to underwrite you. They're going to charge everybody the same amount of money that another person would get charged.
I just seen where it said the high user would want to pay more money.
So when she talks about the high user, that's not in your cost of your premium. That would be the cost that when you go to point of service, when you pick up your drugs. So if you're picking up 50 drugs and there's a $10 copay, you would cost more money than somebody that picks up 2 drugs, just like on your current group plan today. Somebody that has much more drug usage than somebody else, they would have to pay more money.
We're being paralyzed because we have less needs. That's what you're telling me.
No. Let's move on. Okay. So here are the 3 different types of plans and that our folks are going to be able to offer you. In addition, you're going to have dental and vision options as well. And we're going to get into those plans and how they differ from each other, but I kind of wanted to get it out to you folks to see that these plans are very reasonably priced. So you've got your Medicare Advantage plans, and these are for a 70-year-old male living in Tuscaloosa. I can tell you whether you're in Tuscaloosa, whether you're in Atlanta, Georgia, or you're someplace else, very similar type costs. So these are pretty representative of what you're going to see across the country. Your Medicare Advantage plans, there are plans out there that cost $0, and there are plans that range up to $85. So your Medicare Advantage plans from 0 to 85, and then there's 5 or 6 plans in between. There are your Medigap or your Medicare Supplement. Now you're going to hear us say supplement or Medigap, they mean exactly the same thing. They cover the 20% that Medicare Original Part A and B do not cover. I'm sure many of you have heard of them, and they're wonderful products. Those range from $45 to the cheapest Medigap plan I could find, on up to $177 for the most expensive plan I could find. And that was for an F plan. Now usually, I'm from Michigan, I usually say that the F plan is the Cadillac of all plans. I'm not going to say that anymore. It is the Mercedes of all plans, okay? That F plan. That is going to cover everything under the sun. You are not going to have a cost when you go to the doctor. It is much better than what you have today. No networks, no costs. One thing, a little secret I'll tell you about that F plan. We're going to sponsor about 7 different F plans. Aetna's going to have one. Humana's going to have one. Mutual Omaha's going to have one. All the major carriers are going to have one, but they are exactly the same.
Is this premium in addition to the $4,500? Like, Mercer gets the $4,500, right?
Mercer doesn't get the $4,500, and we're going to talk about that, but MBSUI is going to put this in an account in your name. We're going to administer it, we're not going to keep it. Yep, we're just going to administer it. You spend it. You spend it the way you want it. You prove that you spend it on a medical expense like a premium, and then we're going to reimburse you for the amount of money that you spent. Okay, so look at that F plan. You see the check boxes? It covers everything. But like I said, all of the insurance companies are going to have one, but they're all going to have a different price. So if the F plan is what you want, the Mercedes of all plans, for the $177, you're going to pick the carrier that charges you the least amount of money. I like to tell people, if you're buying a can of chicken noodle soup, would you buy that from Whole Foods, or would you buy that from Walmart? Walmart, right? It's the same chicken noodle soup, same ingredients, same everything. You're just gonna pick Walmart because you're gonna pay half the price. That's the same as the F plan. F plans are the same. This is part of this. These Medigap plans are covered from A to N, with F being the most. We circled G and N because they're very similar to what you had, and we'll get into that in a minute. Let me go back real quick. So there are your plans. 45 to 177 on the Medigap plans. The Medigap plans only cover your medical. You would then need to pair them up with a drug plan. The drug plans range from 20 to 90, okay?
Will you please clarify the difference between a Medigap plan and,
Yep, and that's what Rich is gonna do. He's the expert on those.
okay.
We're gonna get into those. I just wanted to kind of show you what the cost of these plans are, that they're not thousands of dollars a month, right? They're hundreds, and even less than that in some cases. So there's what they cost, general range. Here's what you're getting. Everybody in this room is getting $4,500. If you were covered under the Medicare plan and the SUI Medicare plan, you're gonna get $4,500. You guys are very smart and you can do the math. That's a lot of money to go for the cost of those plans. In addition, if you don't spend the money, you get to carry $2,500 over each year for the next year. Okay, now I've heard that everybody in this room likes numbers, and I'm an actuary and I love numbers, and this gets, try and stay with me here. It's not real complicated, but I wanted to show you was, I'm gonna press the wrong button. Okay, so what we're doing here is this column right here, everybody see that green column? That's today, okay? That's the plan you're under. The cost of your plan is $5,790. In that is medical and drugs. You guys, MBSUI is paying $4,500 for that plan, and they're having you pay for the rest, about $107 a month, I guess. They're having you pay for that, okay? They're also reimbursing you for the Part B, so there's the cost, they're reimbursing you for that. But if we look at somebody living in Tuscaloosa that's treating one chronic condition, one chronic healthcare condition, they're on 3 generic drugs and 1 brand name drug, we know that your current plan, you've got out-of-pocket costs with that. Meaning when you go to the drugstore, you gotta pay for your drugs. When you go to the doctor, there's a copay, and you need to pay for part of that. So for this particular individual, the out-of-pocket cost would be about $630 for your drugs and to see the doctor. Also, you have to pay $10 a month for your dental, so there's your $120 for the dental, and your vision's included. So if we add up all these numbers, and we subtract out what MBSUI is giving you, you're coming out of pocket about $2,000 a year, okay? After your point of service, after you pay for your premiums. Now I want to compare that to 2 plans, the 2 Mercedes plans out here, the G and the F. Wonderful plans, much better than you have. A G plan for a 70-year-old male living in Tuscaloosa costs about $1,400 a year. And that in a select drug plan, which is a very popular drug plan on our exchange, $200 a year. Guess what? About $1,600 for the premiums. You're getting $4,500 from MBSUI. You're gonna pay for your Part B, you're gonna get reimbursed back your $1,600 for Part B out of your $4,500. The out-of-pocket cost for those drugs and the doctor about $1,000 a year. You're gonna buy a dental plan and a prescription, a dental and a vision plan for about $500 and $156. But to make a long story short, if you add up that entire column, which has better medical coverage, similar prescription drug coverage, you're gonna pay about $533 out of pocket. If you subtract those 2, you're ahead $1,500 on the year. After you paid your premiums, after you paid your copays, after you paid your deductibles, vision, dental, all things taken into account, you're ahead $1,500. That's why this is, it's a, like Jennifer said, it's a win-win, right, for everybody. We also wanted to show you, well, what if you wanted an F plan? And I could tell you the F plan difference is it's a stronger plan, so you're gonna pay a little bit more. So if you are one of those chronically sick people, the F plan is probably what you want. Again, I'm not gonna go through all the numbers, but you can see the medical premium's a little bit higher, but your out-of-pockets are a little lower. But even on the F plan, that is Mercedes of all Mercedes plans, it's better than anything I've ever seen. You're still $1,000 ahead at the end of the year. Yeah. Yeah, so you would take that $4,500, and after you paid your premium and your copays and your deductibles, you'd still get reimbursed back for that as well. That would come out of that HRA as well, and that's taken into account in that column.
We get the 4,500, do we still get the 1,600 reimbursed on top of that?
The 4,500 would be part of the reimbursement for that. So 4,500, you take out the 1,600, you're left with 2,900. You continue to pay for your medical.
We get 2,900.
You are getting 2,900 to pay towards medical, correct? And you're getting your Part B reimbursement. But you're also not having to pay the $100 a month that you paid for your old coverage. Right, that's going away. Yeah. So this is what's beautiful about the exchanges. There's about 14 to 17 plans, depending on you live, different drug plans. And every drug plan treats the drugs that you're on a little differently. Rich is going to get into this, but he's going to specifically sit down with you, talk about the drugs you're taking, and tailor fit that plan. Now, I know you are concerned about, I don't know what I don't know. Is that what you said, sir? And I agree, right? You don't know what drugs, you know what drugs you're on today, but you don't know what drugs you're on tomorrow. Maybe you're on 8 drugs yesterday, and you're on 4 drugs today. Tell them what you were on when you're doing that. Say, I was on 8 drugs last month, but now I'm on 4. They can run 2 different scenarios for you and tell you what drug plan is best for you. So talk about different situations. You have an hour and 15 minutes to talk to these people, and if you don't get done after an hour and 15 minutes, schedule another hour and 15 minutes, and another hour and 15 minutes. They're there as long as you need to talk to them, talk about your situation, and form that bond with your benefit counselor. Yeah.
We received our nice They're Here cards, which I use all the time. Will my prescriptions still be co-pay free there, and can I use it after the beginning of the year?
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Just to clarify, we can still, 65 or not 65, whatever, we can still go to Care Here, and we can still pick up our prescriptions, whatever they give us there.
That's correct. Okay. Any questions? I either did a really good job, or you guys are really the smartest group I've ever talked to. Okay.
It's not considered like Medicare Advantage Plan or Medicare Complete. Is that what
GNFs are called supplements. They're a little different. They don't have networks. Rich is going to get into the difference between a supplement and an advantage, but I just wanted to run. To be, I'll give you my, I shouldn't be doing this, but with the money you have, the F and the G are probably what the majority are you going to buy. You have the money to spend for healthcare. It's the Mercedes of all plans. You're probably going to buy it, and you're going to be very happy. Yeah.
Doctors this morning, and they said that do not do the Medicare Advantage Plan, that do not accept it, and that do not accept what they call the Medicare.
Yeah, Rich and his team are going to do a complete analysis with you. They're going to look up the doctor you have, and they're going to tell you exactly what you said. If you have that doctor, they will never, suggest you take a Medicare Advantage plan. They would move you towards a supplement plan. Okay? People in the back of the room are telling me, hurry up. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, my husband and I both are Medicare eligible, and he uses the packet, I receive the packet. Does he have to call a counselor also, or can I do it for both of us?
No, so that's a good question. She asked, my husband and I both received a package. Do we both have to set up an appointment? And the answer is yes. You both have different medical needs. You see different doctors. You take different drugs. You're probably different ages, so it's going to be very different. But what I would say is you can sit on his call. You can sit on each other's call. Another thing I like is I sit on my parents' call. Rich's team can 3-way call you in if you want somebody on that call with you. Tell them who you want. They can 3-way call, and you can have a 3-way conversation, which is great. But if you sit through that call, you'll get a lot of the education, and I call it monotony, out of the way, so that when it comes time for you to enroll and you to give your specific information, you don't maybe have to sit through an hour session, maybe it's only a half hour because you've been on that call. Yes?
Can you do part of that online, and then if you select what you really want, then either send it online or do you have to call?
No, so, great question. He asked, can you do this online, or do I have to talk on the phone? So a couple of years ago, we let people do this online, and what we found out was people were making some decisions that weren't the best for them. Maybe they forgot a drug, they forgot a doctor, they weren't in network, they picked an MAPD when they should have picked the med stuff. So we encourage people to get online and view the plans. You can do everything the counselors can do online, But in the end, we'd like you to make that decision with your counselor. So go in there, you can put a pin in. Did everybody receive a pin? You know what I'm talking about? There's a letter that came on the front end of your welcome kit, and on the back side of that, there's a pin number. You put that in, and it's gonna save all your information. You put the information in, you put the pin in, you shut it down, you come back, put the pin in, and it's all there. So you can do some pre-work, and you can have all the tools that they have, but we ask that you enroll with your benefit counselor, because they're gonna walk you through all that, they're gonna answer all your questions, and in the end, they're gonna enroll you.
One other thing, there's no problem using a different counselor to help gather what mine and my wife's needs would be, and then put that in.
No, that's,
Yeah. I have a friend that does that.
Yeah, so you can use a benefit, whatever benefit counselor, are you talking from the Mercer team?
Well, this is actually outside Mercer, they work for a different company, but.
I believe you have to enroll with Mercer to receive the benefits we have, but they can sit on the call with you.
Using
Yep.
them to help get a package.
Let's talk about if she got the wrong package. We want to make sure she's eligible. We'll catch that afterwards.
And I'm her.
Okay, let's talk about that afterwards, if you got the wrong package. Yeah,
What kind of input would it have? You say for the average health person, what happens if you have a unique health condition?
so if you have a unique health condition, so first of all, on the medical side, this is what I love, you get that F plan, and there aren't gonna be any deductibles, co-pays, or co-insurances. So for the people that are in really good shape, or the people that are in really poor shape, again, no cost on those plans, right? The tricky part becomes the drugs. That's why Rich and his team of experts are gonna take even the sick people and get them into the plan that best meets their needs. But they designed this AHRA, that $4,500 is designed to even help those that are very sick and have a lot of chronic conditions and a lot of drugs. There's still gonna be plenty of money to cover them. Yes?